Rod Garrett!
Thank you so much for that introduction. So great to be back. You guys look like you have risen from the dead. What better time to do it? You have done 21 films. You guys can legally drink with that. So we just saw Captain Marvel. What do you guys think? And now it's time for the final movie in this phase. It's called Endgame because this is where it all ends, right? Is it? Who knows? Wow, it's getting a little bit. I'm not saying anything no spoilers at all. There is a hashtag going around about no spoilers, and I respect that. I did promise a little something about your phones are out already. You guys know what's happening. I thought I'd bring out some people who know a little bit about this movie. Just because I'm Australian doesn't mean I know every Australian. Guys, I want you to give, you're already standing up, so the biggest round of applause for the directors of Endgame. Russo! They have been here for 60 hours.
Amazing, you guys are amazing.
Incredible.
It's all come down to this.
To you?
Do it for you.
I've been here since, what, Tuesday at what? 9 a.m.
Yeah, we don't ask too many questions now. But it's...
How do they, I'm just curious, how do you sleep?
Don't! No sleep!
Curl up in a ball. I think they've figured out every single body hack at this stage. But I want to talk to you about this movie. Obviously, it's tumultuous, I guess you could say, to have 21 previous films that come down to this. I mean, you've obviously done other films in the MCU, but what was it about this one that made it different, made it special, made it sweat-inducing? People perspire.
Look, I know this is like one of the complicated parts of this movie is that it is intended to be the ending. And you know, our hope for this was like any favorite story that you have, you know, your hope is that the best part of the story is the ending. So that was our mission, all of our mission, and we have more of our team here.
So you have a few friends here.
But our mission on this movie was to try to make the ending the most special part of the story, and that's a really tall order for the MCU, for the 22 movies that started back with the first Iron Man movie. So, and that was a big difference for Joe and I from the previous movies we did, Winter Soldier, Civil War, and Infinity War, because all those movies those movies were all about us executing the film and then thinking about where the story could go from there. And the one great thing about this movie that Kevin Feige empowered us to do is not think about the future, you know, only think about the past, only think about the 21 movies that you guys have just watched, that have led to this moment in time in the storytelling, and just figure out how to tell the most satisfying ending to that story. And that's, I think, what was unique for Joe and I about this experience, and hopefully what will be special to all of you about this experience.
Last time I interviewed you guys, you said that Spider-Man was your favorite character. Now that we have had so many movies, and now that you've basically been able to... I'm pretty sure you did. You love Spider-Man.
That was my favorite character growing up.
Yeah. But now that you've sort of like honed and crafted who Captain America is today, has that changed at all? Who's your favorite now?
It's like asking a parent to pick their favorite kid. We love them all. We have to, every character is someone's favorite. We have to take care of every character in the way as if we're making sure that whoever comes into that theater and sits in that seat and waits for their favorite character to come on screen, that they get the moments that are going to make them happy. And that's a really important part of the process. And we put a lot of effort into that. part of the process, and actually I want to take a second here to say that, making these movies is near impossible, and they're of such a scale that, they induce what I would call presidential aging. You could tell right here. But these movies are impossible without collaborators of the highest order, and we've got a few people here tonight. We'll bring them out, and I think we can keep going with the questions because they may be able to answer some of these questions as well as or better than we can. But it's impossible to make these films without an incredible team to support you. So first off,
yeah, I mean, we do have some people out the back. You've already perhaps mentioned one of them. It would be really great to talk to about Marvel movies. Do you guys want to introduce your friends back there?
Should we bring out first the Wizard of Oz?
Yeah. Who's the Wizard of Oz?
You guys know. Tonight we have Mr. Kevin Feige.
There's a family of us that sits in a room for years on end and figures out the stories behind these films. These movies would be impossible without Marcus and McFeely. So let's introduce Chris Marcus and Steve McFeely.
Ladies and gentlemen, no one has written more of the MCU than these two gentlemen right
Our executive producer, who's been with us for 7 years and 4 movies, the incredible Trin Tran, is here. Our editor, who's been with us for 7 years and 4 movies, and has actually edited more movies than anyone else.
Yep,
in the Marvel
exactly.
universe.
He's one of the cornerstones of the MCU right here.
And last but not least, we have an absolute legend in the film business with us tonight. He has scored some of the greatest movies in history. Alan Silvestri.
Shine a bit of light on something that was probably super impressive to see at the premiere that took place on Monday evening. Kevin Feige, you got a standing ovation from every single person in that room that night. What was that like?
I think we all did, honestly. It was a standing ovation. There were a lot of people on that stage.
That was it.
Yeah, and it was amazing. I actually didn't realize it until I read about it the next day. But it's everyone this, and I hope you guys appreciate, A, you're about to see Endgame, so that's the best part. You've sat in here for 59 hours, which is very impressive. But this team on stage together have been together for thousands, tens of thousands of hours. Honestly, these are the people who make these movies that you love. And it's an honor that you're all standing here.
Question. You guys have been at this for a very long time. The script's been in place for years. Obviously, trying to get everyone on set at the same time was near impossible. But was the hardest part keeping it spoiler-free for as long as humanly and superhumanly possible?
Just basically knowing nobody who doesn't work on the movie. Eventually, you have no other friends but these people.
Yeah, I mean, you look, it's certainly being very selective with the script about who gets to see what. It is it's very hard when you're working on these movies and you're trying to talk around questions for a year of your life. Literally think of like, every time someone asks you a question, it's like trying to figure out a Rubik's Cube. You have to think for 3 or 4 seconds about how to answer around what they're asking you so they don't give anything away. So it really does become a lot easier for the cast and the crew if they don't know what's going to happen.
But especially, it's like Kevin said, imagine this is what we all do every day, all day, for years and years, and you can't talk about what you do every day, all day, for years and years. It becomes
CIA.
Until today.
I kind of want to go down the line and we can pass the microphone down. What was the moment throughout all of this? We're talking years here. What was the moment that was most special to you?
Well, I think I might be having that moment right now. I'm very envious of this group because they've spent years in a dark room together. Most of mine have been somewhere else alone, and just these rare, great moments that I get to go to their dark room. But I almost never get to be in this dark room with the fans, and it's an amazing moment and event for me to actually see where all of that work goes to and how much folks seem to enjoy it and love it. So I'm going to say this is my best moment right here.
Well, I just want to say, when I was, how many of you guys know what Super 8 film is? When I was in 4th grade, I used to make Super 8 films with my brother, and our favorite subject was Spider-Man. My mom made a Spider-Man costume, and we used to shoot Super 8 movies, and we'd get on the roof, and we'd do all these crazy stunts, and I'd edit them together, and we'd show them to our friends. And I am so lucky that I got to do what I've been doing since I was in 4th grade. And I want to thank Kevin for that, because he brought me on board back on First Avenger. And I had the job of a lifetime, and this has been really one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. So I just want to tell all of you, it's like, if you can keep doing what you love, it's not a job, it's a joy every day. So thank you all for being here.
It's exactly what Alan said earlier. It's being here, spending 4 years on Infinity War and Endgame, and to be here at this moment and spend the time with you guys and have you guys watch it. We love you, I love you guys, and we're just so happy to be here and have fun. Enjoy.
I'll go back to the one they didn't direct. First Avenger walked into the set for the Rebirth Lab, which you saw 30 hours ago. And it's a room with a lot of dials on it that you never go in very close on the camera. And I leaned close, and each and every single tiny little dial said Stark Industries on it. And I realized that they're building an incredibly detailed, precise universe, and they clearly intend to keep doing it because they're very, very serious about it. And it was kind of magical, and I wish I'd stolen one of the dials.
I don't know if I have a real specific story. I mean, it's been my life for 10 years, and I'm incredibly grateful for it. One of my big contributions to this whole thing is being sort of obsessive compulsive and demanding rigorous structure from the films. And so that means that, here's what I'll say. So the last 4 months of 2015, Chris and I and Trin and Kevin and Joe and Anth, when they weren't editing Civil War, because they're doing 4 jobs at once, we're sitting in a room trying to figure out these 2 big movies, Infinity War and Endgame. And so I'm going to tell you a vague anecdote, which is basically the day we figured out The Thing. It was pretty great, right? The Thing. I went home and went, oh crap, we just solved it. And so find me afterwards and I'll tell you what The Thing was. So a lot of my favorite moments aren't necessarily on big expensive sets or even in fancy cities like Atlanta shooting. They are around the table with these folks having hopefully bright ideas, and I'm grateful to them for that.
It's the same thing. It's like that on every movie, but with this group in particular, and on these 2 films over the past 4.5, 5 years, in a very bland conference room primarily in Atlanta, where Anthony made us do exercises every 20 minutes so we didn't get to atrophy. Was it every 20 minutes?
Every half hour.
Every half hour. 20 minutes. I exaggerated. In coming up with these two movies. And almost every day there was the thing, and some of the things changed, and some of the things didn't. And the board, which he was always the Doc Brown on the board, writing all the charts and connecting the dots, and that was the most fun. And it's sad now that it's over.
Kevin, you're my favorite Avenger.
Thank you.
We've got to get this movie happening. Yeah! I'd like to ask everyone who everyone's favorite MCU character is, and who do you think has had the most exciting or flourishing journey? I'll start down this end.
All right. Okay, well, first of all, I want to hear from the audience. Just shout out your favorite Avenger now.
That's the right answer. That's the right answer.
That was amazing. The only distinct one I could make out was Thor right here. Go with.
I think this is a question we answer after you guys see the movie. Yeah, it's a good question, but I think it's one that everyone can answer for themselves after they see this.
Should we start the movie now? Yeah! Thank you very much, everybody. Very much.
After 11 years and 21 movies, ladies and gentlemen, we give you Avengers Endgame!